So simplifying rational expressions, you need to factor anything that'll factor, and then cancel anything that cancels. So you factor both the top and bottom, and then you cancel. So if we want to factor the top of this first one, you look at the numbers. What can you divide each number by? The same thing. What can you divide them by? So 4 and 16 can both be divided by 4. So you divide them both by 4. That 4 that you divide by has to go in front of the parentheses, and whatever you divide by, or whatever the result is after dividing, goes inside. So the 4 is the common factor. We pull it out, and then the remaining factor is what's left. Then on the bottom, you have an r plus 4. They happen to match. Right? The r plus 4 over r plus 4, they're common factors, so they cancel. And then your answer is just whatever is left over. Okay, now it says state the excluded values. So the excluded values are where the bottom is equal to 0. And so you can't divide by 0, which is why we need to look at it. So we have 0 equals r plus 4. So if we subtract 4, 0 minus 4 is negative 4. So an excluded value is negative 4. Okay, because we actually can't let r equal negative 4. Because if it did, then the bottom would be 0, and then it would be undefined. Okay, number 2, what can we divide both 42 and 60 by? Okay, both those can be divided by 6, and then we write the result on the inside. So we have 7n, 42 divided by 7, and leave the n, and then 42 divided by 6 gives us 7, and then 60 divided by 6 gives you 10. The bottom, we can just leave the 42. Now, so there's no 7n plus 10 to cancel out, so the 6 over 42 can be simplified. Both of those can be divided by 6. The 6 is going to become 1, the 42 is going to become 7. So there's our answer. The 1 on top doesn't change anything, so we don't need it. So we just have 7n plus 10 over 7. And then this one, for the excluded values, if you set the bottom equal to 0, well, 42 is never going to be 0, right? So there are no excluded values. Okay, let's check out number 3. So number 3, we have a quadratic. You got that square on top. When you have a quadratic, you want to first factor out a common factor if there is, but if there's a 1 in front, there's not going to be a common factor unless you could get a variable. But the 40 does not have a b, right? So there's no variable we can factor out. So we go straight to the star here. If you remember that. So we have a times c on the top, and b on the bottom, and then a on the bottom sides. So a is 1, c is 40, so 40 times 1 is 40, and b is 13. Put that on the bottom. A is 1, put those on the bottom. So what multiplies to get 40 and adds to get 13? That's what you're looking for. Okay, so multiplying to get 40 is the first thing you want to think about. 5 times 8 multiplies to get 40 and adds to get 13. So those are the numbers that go on the sides. And then those numbers will give us our factors. So we have 1b plus 5, and then 1b plus 8. And then on the bottom, both the 2b and the 16 can be divided by 2, so we put the 2 on the front and put the result of the division inside the parentheses. Then you cancel out anything that matches up. So the b plus 8 is going to cancel out with the b plus 8, and then we write what's still there. That's our answer. But then we have to think about our excluded values. So the excluded values are setting the bottom equal to 0 before it canceled. All right, so we have this 2 times b plus 8 equals 0. The 2 doesn't really change anything, because if we just, let me rewrite it over here. If we just divide both sides by 2, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So that 2 is gone. Now we just subtract 8. B can't equal negative 8. So there is an excluded value. Okay. Number 4, you'll just have to do the star for both the top and the bottom. There's no common factor because you can't take out anything more than 1. Number 5, there is a common factor on the top and the bottom. We can take a common factor of x out of the top. So if they all 3 have an x, we can take an x out. And what that does is reduces the exponents by 1. So we have x squared plus 17x plus 72 all over, close that parenthesis. Then what can I divide all the bottom ones by? Well, I can divide them all by 3 and an x. So if I divide them all by 3, I have 1x squared plus 18x and then plus 81 without an x. All right, now I do a star for the top and the bottom. So if I put the top, a times c is 1 times 72, so 72. B is 17, and then a is 1. So it multiplies to get 72 and adds to get 17. That's going to be 8 times 9 and 8 plus 9. So the top, we're going to have x comes along times x plus 8 and x plus 9. On the bottom, I need to do a star for the bottom. So I have 1 times 81, and b is 18. So 9 times 9 is 81, 9 plus 9 is 18. 3x has to come along, and then x plus 9 and x plus 9. Cancel out one pair of x plus 9s, and then the result is your answer. X times x plus 8 over 3x times x plus 9. And oops, I forgot one little thing. The x's here in the front can also cancel out. So really what I've got left over is x plus 8 over 3 times x plus 9. Okay, and then don't forget to do the excluded values. So set the denominator equal to 0 and solve them. So each of the factors that has an x in it is going to be set equal to 0. So I have 3x equals 0, and then I have x plus 9 equals 0, and I have that again, but I'm going to get the same answer there, right? So I really don't need to do this twice. So if I divide by 3, x cannot be 0, or 0, x cannot be 0. If I subtract 9, x cannot be negative 9. So there's my excluded values, and there is my simplified fraction. All right, if you have questions, let me know.